As we begin our first unit on Chapter 1, it pertains to looking at food choices and how that affects our health. There's a quote that goes like this: "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are." As you can see, this is from a long time ago, 1825. But as we progress through the term and we look at some of the details of nutrition and digestion, we'll see more and more how this particular quote may have some truth to it. Let's look at the definition of nutrition as it pertains to this course. It's the study of foods, their nutrients, and of their actions within the body. In a certain sense, we are what we eat, and it kind of goes like this. If we think of our body as being composed of millions of cells, and then we look at the food that we eat, it's broken down into smaller units and absorbed into our body as nutrients. Those nutrients are then rearranged into the cells of our body, which then sustain life. Those nutrients do three things for the body. They promote growth, maintenance, and repair. An example of growth would be a young child, say a 4 or 5-year-old, growing 1 inch within a year. Nutrients are promoting that growth. Maintenance would be more of the replenishment of tissue that turns over, such as the cells in our GI tract that turn over every 3 days. Nutrients are needed to maintain those cells. Repair would be a situation where maybe we have a wound, we cut ourselves. We need nutrients to be able to rebuild that tissue. The definition of essential nutrients, and this is something important for you to take note of, is that these are nutrients that the body cannot make for itself. Either that or it can't make enough of it fast enough to provide for the body to prevent nutritional deficiencies. There are 6 basic nutrients. These nutrients are really important for you to get familiar with, as they're the foundation of the whole course. First off, we'll talk about the most important nutrient we consider to be water. If you're out on a backpacking trip and you've got nothing else but water, you'll survive for quite a few days. The energy-yielding nutrients are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. These 3 nutrients give us calories, hence the name energy-yielding. The last 2 nutrients are the helper nutrients. These are called the vitamins and minerals. Altogether, these are the 6 basic nutrients to our diet. Let's talk in a little more depth of each of those nutrients. Again, this is an overview to just kind of introduce the nutrients for the term of the course. As we work through each unit, we'll start to get into more detail about each of these nutrients. We consider water an indispensable nutrient, and most of us need in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 liters a day, which is equivalent to about 10 cups. Water is important because it provides a medium for the body's chemical reactions to take place. It also helps us with temperature regulation. One way that it does this is when we perspire. We get that little bit of water on the top of our skin, and the way that it helps regulate our temperature is that when that water evaporates, the heat is then removed from the body, which cools us down. 50 to 60% of the human body is made up of water, which is a fascinating number if you really think about that. We're over half water. Let's talk more about energy. The food that we eat provides energy for activity, but we need to broaden our scope of what we think of when we think of activity. It's not just the exercise that we might get from going for a run or going swimming, but also the daily activity of our organs to keep our body functioning. So things like breathing, our heart beating, our brain function, our kidneys, those all need energy as well. We measure energy as calories. And yes, there's a technical definition for what a calorie is. It's the amount of energy or heat, heat is the equivalent of energy, to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water 1 degree centigrade. In my graduate program, I have some pretty fond memories of how cool this was to be able to take a little bit of ground beef and we put it in what they call the calorimeter, and we actually did burn the beef and see how that changed the temperature of the water bath around it to measure the calories. And it really did work out with, you know, what they have on the food labels, which is a real interesting exercise to go through. You'll notice I have an annotation down here that kilocalories equals kcals equals calories. Over the years, these words have started to be used interchangeably, so just take note, when you see any of those words being used, they mean the same thing. But from a true chemistry standpoint, those words have a different definition. For the purposes of this course, we will use them interchangeably. The energy-yielding nutrients, again, those are carbohydrate, and we use CHO as an abbreviation for carbohydrate in this class. Carbohydrate gives us 4 calories for every gram. Protein also gives us 4 calories for every gram. But fat, we get an extra bonus. We get 9 calories for every gram. We have one more nutrient to talk of, but you'll notice I give it slightly a different title. I don't call it a nutrient, I call it a toxin. That could probably be argued in the environment of some of the research that's been done on the flavonoids and phytochemicals in wine. But alcohol also gives us energy at 7 calories per gram. But it's surely not an essential nutrient. We do not need alcohol to maintain good health or prevent deficiencies. So under most categories, we think of it as a toxin to the body. Vitamins. The word vitamin stands for vital for life. These are organic compounds. They're much smaller than the energy-yielding nutrients in size. They are destructible, and as we talk about the different types of vitamins, we'll talk about details on how we can preserve vitamin content in our food. There's 2 categories of vitamins that we'll talk about: water-soluble and fat-soluble. Next up are minerals. They are inorganic, meaning that they are not carbon-containing. They're smaller than vitamins. Their charge can be changed, but they're not destructible. So that mineral is always there. We can't burn it and get rid of it. We can't break it down, but we can alter the charge.